Welcome back to another video, guys. Today we're working on the Juke, and today we're doing audio equipment. Okay, so like I said, working on audio equipment. Today I got some things in the mail that I want to do for the Juke, and it's because I love the factory system that the Nismo comes with. It's got its own little sub and everything, but today I've got a package here that I want to unbox. I've already kind of opened it though, and show you what I got. So let's get to it. All right, in here, stuff might look familiar. This is a whole system set up for a new sub. So got myself a line out converter, wiring kit, you know, to install everything. Got myself an amp. This is a Star amp, 800 watt, I believe. Yeah. And we have ourselves a CT 10-inch hydro sub. This thing's pretty nice. It'll definitely be a better upgrade from the 8-inch sub that the stock Juke comes with. Alright, so this is pretty much everything that I got. I like that the sub comes in white. That's pretty dope. As well as the actual amp. But yeah, this is pretty much everything here that I should need. I did a little bit of research on the Juke forums, and this stuff should fit. My idea is to custom make the box for this entire system because I don't want to take up the minimum trunk space that the Juke has. And with a 10-inch shallow mount sub that this is, my plan is to fit it in the existing wheel well that the stock sub system is in. I thought about doing a box underneath the seat, but I didn't think I really have enough space for the type of airflow that this would need, this particular sub. So we're gonna do it that way. So I've got a few more materials that I'm gonna use to kind of get this thing to happen. So here are my materials that I'm going to need. I've done a little research on this type of stuff. I have worked with fiberglass before, but on small scale, nothing as big as this kind of undertaking, but I'm pretty positive I can do it. So I got, you know, some carbon fiber chop mat, some wood glue, because I've got my MDF board here. This is going to be my layout. I'm going to cut my rings out of this. I forget how thick this is. It probably says it on here, 1/2 inch. If I need to double it, I can. That's why I got the wood glue to get it to bond together if I need it thicker or whatnot, but that should be big enough for this project. Got some polyester fleece. This is going to cover it, and I'm not going to paint it and bondo it and all that to make it look pretty because it's just going behind the paneling of the fender there, or the wheel well fender, rear fender. So I got my chip brushes, you know, the slather on the resin, aluminum foil, some tape to mask everything off, and I'm going to use these as a prop to prop up the rings. Just if not, I've got some extra spare wood on the side of the house from other past projects. I just got that because it was cheap. You know, can't beat free paint stirs. So those are materials I'm gonna need. That's the amp setup, speaker setup. Wiring diagram, I'm gonna figure that out for you guys because I haven't found any hardcore like things on the Juke forums or really the internet for real that explains what you're tapping into, because we're keeping the existing head unit. All right, first things first, we got a couple things we need to do. First, remove your cover panel that covers over the spare tire. Remove all the little compartment stuff out of the way. We'll just set this here to the side. Then next, what we gotta do is, first thing, remove this piece here. That just comes off. Then you have access to this piece, and it just pops out from here. And you can see in there is the main sub and the little amp that goes to it. But to get this completely off, there are some brackets that hold on this back seat. So you want to come over here, unscrew the bracket off of the back seat. There's two 16mm bolts, as well as the ones over here, 16mm. Then you can kind of move the seat up out the way. Then remove your rubber garment off the side. Remove this panel, the kick panel here, off the way. then you can go ahead and release these clips. You have to remove this garment, this weather seal, because it's actually tucked on these little pins here, or these clips, because if you try to pull this off without doing the rubber weather garment, you'll break them. So move that, push this aside, it releases because you have the seat out the way. Now you should be able to just go ahead and pull this whole thing on out of here. Get the seatbelt out of the way. And this whole piece comes on out. Set this aside. And now we have full access to the rear sub. All right, we're gonna go ahead and remove this. And to do that, we got two 10mm bolts here. You can unscrew it or use the actual, socket. And then we got one up here. Now, when I first got this car, it was rattling. So I was able to get this kind of pulled back a little bit and tighten these down. I never had a bolt here, so it must be, I don't know, somewhere in here. But we're gonna remove those and remove that, disconnect the harness, and should be able to pull this whole thing out. All right, we got it out. Here is the piece. My understanding, this piece is pretty hard to come by. There's the part number. Looks like I have somewhat of an issue that I might just go ahead and rethink this. I was gonna originally, like I said, go ahead and fiberglass this whole entire area here. It looks like what this does, it actually recesses in, so that little gap, this little piece notch, whatever, fits inside of this area here. So I mean, I guess I would have to fiberglass inside of there as well, and just to take advantage of all the extra space. All right, so here's the other issue. The amp, I was wanting to kind of place it inside of here, somewhere, but since this is such a tight spot in space, it's not really going to fit like I wanted it to. I don't really want to mount it to here, just because I want to keep its integrity. I don't really want to put no holes in it. This is probably a difficult part to get as well. There's that part number if anyone's looking for this. And I don't want to really attach it to the back of the seat, because I do lay down my seats sometimes to, like, not haul stuff, but kids stuff, things like that. And that's the whole point of making this hideaway speaker panel using the existing area, is so I don't take up my trunk space that the Juke minimally has already. So my idea to fix this, to be in here where it's not in the way, is this board, what is this, styrofoam insert it comes with. I guess you got my tow hook was in here. It's just a little compartment stuff that's in here. This goes here, but old lug nuts, just a compartment thing that's here, storage little area that sits on. I'm thinking, I just marked it out, I can have the amp attached here, but I want it to be recessed inside of it. So I'm thinking I'll just go ahead and cut along this line. The depth of this, it looks like about 2.5 inches, and just cut 2.5 inches down into it. That way this lays flush, and I'll have enough room for my terminals and wiring and type stuff to go through here. I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing, because I'm sure this probably isn't as important as this. I think I could tear this up and it wouldn't be too difficult,
A few moments later.
Okay, so I've got the outline taped off. This is the perimeter of how far the fiberglass is going to go. The sub will sit directly in center of it. The stock one here I got out, and this one's a lot smaller, so the actual 10-inch goes all the way around here like that. So it's a pretty massive speaker compared to this housing, which is, like I said, why I couldn't mold on top of it. So looking at it, it still fits, and with this cavity back in here, I have a lot of air room for to get in there. So like I say, the speaker will sit right here, which is okay, and it's enough room for the panel to go close into it, because this bottom half cuts off right here. So I got a little bit of overhang to give myself a little cutting room if I need it. But yeah, there we go. That's pretty much the outline. I'm gonna finish taping this up. Oh, and I gotta make a cardboard cutout for the part up under here, because I'm not going all the way up in there. So I'm gonna make a cardboard cutout here to block off from here and up here. So let me do that real quick and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, I got the cardboard cut, just rough template. So basically this will go in here like this. Okay, I had to switch up a few things. First template didn't really work as well. I know some flaws, so now I just made a full thing of cardboard here to go over it. This will be my roof. This will be, I'll just tape this to here, tape all this to here. So that way, like I said, I can still pull it in and out like I need to. Got my mask, got my glove, got my fiberglass. I'm gonna chop up some little pieces and then we'll start putting it on here. All right, it is cured enough to pull apart. I already started. I still need to put a couple more layers on, but I'm gonna do that with it out of the car. So here we go. There is the box. Like I say, I'll put a few more layers. I mean, that's just one layer thin. So still got my carbon or my fiberglass here. I'll clean all that out, clean all this off of here, and then I'll start fiberglassing on the inside of this to thicken it up. It came out pretty nice. It fits in pretty good. I did have to trim off a good chunk of it. We got this piece here that was on there, and I took it off and I cut it in half a little bit because it wasn't coming back out of the car good. It was hitting this bump here, so I angled it in and then fiberglassed it together. So now we should be good. So now we are at the spot where all I need to do is hot glue the felt on, and we'll be all good to go to start resining. I'll show you here with it in the car. So now it fits on in there. And there we go, sits in good. The line is here, so I have all this room here to then have the speaker sit. So and all I have to do is just pull on it and it comes out more easily. I had to cut it in half because it was catching on that corner there, but we're all trimmed up, we're all ready to go. So now all I have to do is cut my MDF rings. I got the rings cut out of the board. I had to use my Dremel, so that kind of sucked. So I had to go all the way through it, little holes all the way through it, cut it out, then clean the edges up. I cleaned them up pretty good. It doesn't really matter because this part will be overlaid with the felt. But I got my holes marked. I even marked where it's gonna sit properly, so where it won't stick out too far. So it's a nice flush mount on it. So that should be nice. The sub sits right in there perfectly. I got my braces in there. Those are nice and sturdy. I can lift this up with it. So those are nice and sturdy and stable. So all we gotta do now, put the holes in for the screw holes, and then we'll spray adhesive onto the sides, lay down the felt, stretch it, and then we'll start putting the final coats of resin on. And then we'll be able to let that cure, and then we'll go from there. All right, here it is, a failure. So after it cured, I had trouble with it fitting. So the side here I had to cut out, and as well as a chunk of the back, because it wasn't fitting in like I wanted it to. After doing that, it fit, but as you can see here, I angled it wrong. It's going at an angle versus straight up and down like that. So even though it fits now, it doesn't fit behind the paneling. So looks like I'm gonna have to redo it. I try and save this so I don't waste any material. I'm definitely gonna have to cut out the rings, because I really don't want to have to recut those out of there. But if I can save the core of it and just cut away the ring and then redo the wrap, because I still have some extra felt back there, we'll do that. But if not, I'm gonna have to redo the whole thing.
1 day later.
All right, here we go, round 2. Got it recovered. It's nice and cured. I've trimmed everything around it. I put this piece back on because I think after the trimming, it actually will fit. I think the part that was holding it up was this section, and I sanded that down. I did have a fitment issue before I went and laid this, so I wouldn't have to reproduce what had happened at the last one. I put the speaker in to see if I had enough clearance, and I didn't. With me losing about, like I said, that inch, the speaker was hitting on this crease here, so I had to cut out about 3 inches here, so that it could drop in safely, and then I just fiberglassed the back of it and packed it in there. So once we get all that squared away, I'll cut this out, and then we can get the mounting. All right, we are in there. Clips are clipped. I haven't clipped this part, but for all intents and purposes, it's right there. I can get it in. I just gotta take the rubber piece off here to get it back behind there, but I'm happy with that. It's in there. Pull this off. You can see it nice and tucked away. And there we go. It fits inside. I got the screw holes lined up. So next what we're gonna do is drill out a hole here so that we can add in the terminals. And so that'll go right there. And we'll be good to go to then start cutting on this for the amp and the LOC line out converter. And then we'll start wiring it into the car. All right, got it cut out. Here's the amp kit. Here's everything it comes with. You know, you got power wire, ground wires, RCA wire, fuse. And it's got some speaker wire, 2 types. So I'm guessing this is the one that goes to the amp, and this is the one you plug into here, and then a couple accessory pieces that you use to mount it. So we're gonna get that all hooked up. Okay, so everything's together. We have the terminal all. I used JB Weld to get it in there. It's gonna cure for about 4 hours, so it's a little sticky still. So while that's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on this part. So go ahead and cut that out so this can fit in here. Same with this. Cut that out so that could fit in here. And then we'll go ahead and start attacking the wiring. All right, got it all cut out. And I even put some little holes here to allow the wires to go through. So now this should slide right down into it. And as well as the LOC. And we have a perfect flush fit. Okay, here we are in the car. Everything's flush fitted nicely. Got the LOC mounted nicely, the amp mounted nicely. So now what I gotta do is wire in the speaker wire pieces and the 12 volt source. And what I'm gonna do is tap into the stock connector, the Rockford Fosgate sub was connected to. Now, I've searched all over the internet and there's no real definitive information out there on what these color codes for the wiring is. So I just had to use my multimeter and kind of wing it. So what I found out is the light blue is 12 volt constant. This black with the silver on it is ground. Just going by different researches, yellow and black should be my signal wires I need to tap into for the left and right connection there. I believe this is my 12 volt accessory. So like when the car is on, this one comes on. And I'm assuming the green is the amp wire or whatever, but I won't need that one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tap into this teal one for my 12 volt. That's gonna go here on my 12 volt. I'll run a ground to this bolt for my ground, as well as the ground that'll come from here. I'll run that to there as well. And then my yellow and black or gray here, those will go to the negative and the positive. And then I have my remote wire. I was wrong, the kit, this blue wire was the remote wire, so I do have that installed there. Just gonna come out and run around, and that wire will go into remote out, because this particular LLC has the GTO feature, which will tell this when the radio turns on, and it senses in energy from these wires. It will let it know that this needs to turn on, which will then let this turn on the amp. So I'm gonna get all this wired up and then we'll test it out and see how it works. But first I'm going to install the power wires. So I'm gonna run the power wire through here, through the door sill, all the way up and through the existing grommet that's already underneath the car, or underneath the door, the floorboard here, which is right there. Go through there, and I'll go through the firewall, hook up my fuse, and we should be good for power, and then we'll see how it sounds. All right, so got everything buttoned up. Everything's all inside like it's supposed to be. You can kind of see the speaker in there. We got everything wired up, everything's working. I just want to show you a few details that I found that I want to make sure I got out the way. So here is the system. You can see the CT sub back there. Not center, but as you can already know, I mean, I had to make it work with it work. It doesn't hit at all. I adjusted everything, my bass levels, my IQ bass levels, my gain, all that stuff. Everything's adjusted. I've got color coded on here. Now, the big thing, I got everything put together. Like I said, I was gonna have everything originally go through the stock harness for the stock sub that was in here. Turns out that did not work. It was a line out only type of connection. So only thing I could do was then go and take and run speaker wire through the panel and then into this panel here to locate the wiring for this piece to then tap into the left and the right speakers, because there was not speaker level coming through that. It was only a line amp level. So what I did is I took apart the stock sub and amp, and I connected directly to the wires going into the stock sub, and it worked. So that let me know that the wires going into it was not a speaker level sub out. So I needed to tap directly into actual speakers. So when you take this apart, and I'm gonna put some photos up here, left side is green and white, I believe, and then in here it turns to green and red, and over there it's red and white. Red being positive, white being negative, I believe. I don't know. Either way, I'll put the info here, and then I'll actually put in the description below the link for the wiring diagram for both doors, so that way you're not taking my word for it. You can see for yourself. But pretty much that's it. That's everything right there. So there it is, everything put back together. Looks completely stock. You wouldn't even know I had a subsystem. All right, everything's ready to go. Let's see how this sounds. Got the trunk closed, windows up. My settings, bass all the way up, treble 2 points from being all the way down. So let's hear it. Is definitely way louder than the stock 8 that comes in there, which I'm happy for it. Gives me a little bump. Now only 110 is not going to have you hearing me all the way down the street, which I kind of like because I'm not trying to get jacked. With that, that's going to finish today's video. See you next time.